You will begin to cover yourself and cover the shame you have brought upon this family.
Okay, before we start, let me just say this. Not every scar is shameful. Not every difference is a curse. Sometimes the girl everyone underestimates is the one who shocks the whole world. Let me tell you about her.
They said the marks on her skin were proof the gods had rejected her. They called her body a curse. They said no man would ever choose her. But if there's one thing villages are good at, it's making up stories. And they're even better at believing them. See, the truth about the girl they called cursed, well, that was something no one saw coming. It all started in a quiet place. One of those villages where tradition rules everything. That's where Jessica lived. She was honestly stunning. Rich caramel skin, bright eyes, and the kind of smile that could soften even the hardest heart. But her life wasn't easy. Her mother passed away just days after she was born, so it was just her and her dad. He absolutely adored her, and she felt the same way about him. For years, it was just the two of them against the world. That is, until the elders got in his ear. They kept telling him a young girl needs a mother.
A girl child needs a mother.
Eventually, he gave in and married a widow named Susanna. She came into the house with her own daughter, Annabelle, who was just about Jessica's age.
Susanna smiled often, spoke gently, acted warm toward Jessica, but her kindness was carefully measured. She watched Jessica closely, watched the way villagers admired her, the way her husband's eyes lit up with pride. Behind her smile, envy quietly lived. She felt Jessica was taking the shine meant for her daughter, Annabelle, and that hatred grew slowly in her heart. Still, she pretended. Then tragedy struck. Jessica's father fell ill suddenly and died, and the house changed overnight. The pretending stopped. Susanna no longer smiled at Jessica. She stopped calling her my child. Orders replaced affection. Silence replaced warmth. Jessica became a servant in her own home, cooking, fetching water, scrubbing floors from sunrise to night. Years passed. When Jessica was about 20 years old, something else began. Tiny pale spots appeared on her skin. At first, she ignored them. But days later, another appeared. Then another. Small white patches spread across her beautiful caramel skin. Weeks passed. The patches grew larger. They spread to her wrists, her neck, her face, her arms and legs. The villagers began to whisper.
It started after her father died. This is a spiritual sign. She has been marked.
Jessica did not understand what was happening, but Susanna did. She knew it was vitiligo, a condition that affects pigmentation when the cells that produce melanin stop working. It is not contagious, not painful, not a curse. But Susanna saw opportunity. Now she had something visible, something she could use to dim Jessica's shine.
You will begin to cover yourself.
She made Jessica wear rags, and made her cover her face with a black veil. She said her face could scare away the morning birds. She said no one deserves to see her ugly skin, because it could cause nightmare. Jessica became a shadow of herself. She hated her skin. Her fellow maidens ran at the sight of her. Some believed it could spread by touch. Jessica grew smaller each day, her confidence fading. She believed everything her stepmother said. She believed she was cursed. And because she believed it, she carried shame. Sometimes she wondered why so many bad things had chosen her life. So she cried, because she could not give an answer to her inner questions. She felt she did not deserve any of these tragedy that had befallen her. She knew she did not deserve it. So deep inside, she held on to a quiet conviction that one day, she would look back at this season and smile. But even through the pain that Jessica felt, she chose kindness. She still treated people with care and compassion. She refused to treat others the same way they treated her. She refused to let bitterness take root in her heart. And because of that, some of the villagers quietly admired her. They saw her strength. They saw her grace. But whenever the talk of marriage arose, voices lowered. She is kind, they admitted. But who will marry a girl marked like that? No young man approached her. Instead, their attention slowly shifted. All eyes turned to Annabel. The same young men who once admired Jessica now surrounded her stepsister. They praised her beauty, complimented her voice, laughed at her smallest jokes. As Annabel noticed this change, pride began to bloom in her heart. She carried herself like royalty, walked with her chin lifted high, spoke as though she already wore a crown. The attention fed her arrogance, and the more she was admired, the smaller she made Jessica feel. She snapped her fingers for water, dropped her clothes at Jessica's feet, spoke to her without kindness. Annabel treated Jessica not like a sister, but like a servant. And Susanna watched it all with quiet satisfaction. Then one bright morning, drums echoed through the village. The royal messenger arrived. By order of His Majesty the King, he declared, a grand banquet will be held. The crown prince will choose his bride. Excitement swept through the village. Girls rushed to prepare. Mothers hurried to the market. Smile filled the faces of the women and the maidens. Men nodded their head in pride. There was celebration in the whole village. Meanwhile, in Jessica's home, Susanna had prepared Annabel's finest clothes.
Mother, I can't wait to become the princess of this whole land.
You sure will, my daughter.
Jessica already knew her stepmother would never allow her to attend the banquet. And even if, by some miracle, she was permitted to go, she feared her skin would never be accepted in a hall filled with flawless maidens. Those thoughts of discouragement echoed constantly in her mind, whispering that she did not belong. Yet, despite the doubt and quiet heartbreak, Jessica refused to completely surrender to despair. In the secrecy of her small room, she carefully sewed a simple dress for herself, something modest, yet beautiful, just in case a miracle decided to remember her. Susanna, on the other hand, had already piled up series of tasks for Jessica. She called Jessica and listed the chores she should get done before her and Annabel returns from the banquet.
Make sure the entire house shines from top to bottom when we get back. After all, your stepsister Annabel could return with the prince himself, if fate chooses her as the princess,
she said proudly. But Jessica mustered her courage and spoke politely, though her voice shook. But mother, I would also like to attend the banquet, since the king has ordered that all maidens are invited. Susanna's eyes blazed with rage.
How dare you call me mother?
She snapped. She gave Jessica a dirty slap on her face. And the girl tumbled to the ground. The dress she had been hiding behind her back slipped from her hands.
And what is that on your hand?
Susanna demanded. Jessica had kept the dress hidden all along, clutching it behind her back, but Susanna dragged her closer and snatched it away.
Oh, a dress.
Susanna sneered. Yes, Ma, Jessica said, trembling. I made it for myself. If you let me, I could wear it to the banquet. In your wildest dreams. Susanna barked, tearing the dress to shreds.
You can never compete with my daughter. You are a servant, and a servant you shall remain, until you join your dead parents. People with your kind of skin do not belong where royalty resides.
Jessica's tears fell freely as she cried, helpless and humiliated. That's where we'll pause the story for now. But don't worry, the drama is far from over. Part 2 will continue soon. And you won't want to miss what happens next. If you enjoyed this chapter, make sure to like this video and subscribe so you can catch the next part as soon as it's out. Thank you for watching.
Wow, that was intense, right? And trust me, the next part, even juicier. You won't want to miss it. Hit like, share, and subscribe, and join me for part 2. It's gonna get even more thrilling.